Hello, welcome to our series of Delhi Sultanate because today we are discussing very important king of Delhi. And to discuss about this personality, we have Meeta Joshi, who is a head of the department at one of the prestigious college in Hyderabad. So before we start our discussion, let's welcome her. Hello, welcome to the show, ma'am. How are you doing?
Namaskar, Kanchan. I'm fine. How are you?
And today,
Yeah,
so
I'm good.
today we are discussing about Alauddin Khilji, I guess.
Yes.
So let's start and we discuss about this. What type of king he was?
See, Kanchan, Alauddin Khilji was one of the finest kings which Delhi Sultanate had. He was the 13th ruler of Delhi that way. And because he belonged to the Khilji dynasty, he was the nephew of Jalaluddin Khilji, who was the king that time. Jalaluddin Khilji made him the governor of Kara and Awadh, and he married his daughter to Alauddin Khilji. So that way, he was a son-in-law also to Jalaluddin Khilji. But then Alauddin Khilji, after his when he became the governor at Kara, he somehow plotted to kill Jalaluddin Khilji, and he murdered him, and he came to the throne of Delhi Sultanate. After his coronation in 1296 AD, he brought many administrative changes which actually strengthened the Khilji Empire, the Khilji dynasty. The very first thing he did was he introduced some market and revenue reforms. What were the market reforms? He appointed a person who was known as Shahana e Mandi, who was responsible to see that the rates are uniform, even if the supply is not so good, but the rates had to be uniform so that everyone in his empire could eat nicely. This was one thing. And even if the agriculture produce is not so good, still the prices remained the same. He discouraged the people to store the grains so that they are in market and everyone gets it easily. Then he got some more reforms, we can say revenue reforms, in that he has administered few taxes like Kharaj. Kharaj was an agricultural tax, 50% of the agricultural produce. And then he levied jizya on non-Hindu population. So that way also his, treasury got wealthy. Another thing what he did was all the old people who were in the army, he convinced them to get retired, recruited new people, and made sure that their salaries were given on time because they were away from their houses. So the salaries were given on time. Earlier, he was when Jalaluddin Khilji had not made him the governor of Kara, he appointed him to one important position, that was master of ceremonies. So that way he had good relations with all the nobles which were there in the Khilji court. So after he became the king, he made sure that the nobles were not powerful because they were into luxuries, they were into indulgences. So he made sure that they work and earn all the grants which were given earlier by Jalaluddin Khilji to many people, like land grants, like Ikta. Ikta was a piece of land which was given so that with that revenue you eat. So he stopped all that. And then he made sure that everyone works and earns. So this was his policy. In this entire, process of market regulations or revenue reforms, he became very popular among the common people. So the common people loved him, and he had a huge standing army with 4,75,000 horses, and he did many conquests. Through those conquests, he earned a lot of money, which strengthened his treasury, like his conquest down south to Devgiri, and all the South Indian dominions. So when the Kakatiyas were there, so he also defeated the Kakatiya king Prataprudra Deva in 1310 AD. So that way he strengthened the Khilji Empire in a very big way. All these conquests, he had a very good team which worked for him. Malik Kafur was there, Ulugh Khan was there. So that way they were very, the administration was very smooth. And many historians like Isami, like Amir Khusro, they have mentioned about his qualities. And most probably, he was the first ruler who has set an imperialistic rule in India. Before Alauddin Khilji, you don't find any, signs of imperialistic rule. Only Alauddin Khilji was the one who got this implemented. And he had a very strong system of spies, espionage system, so that whatever is happening in the empire, it was immediately reported to the Sultan, and he would take some action to, control it, the civil outbreaks, the civil rebellions. So that way, everything was under control. Not only his interests were in the conquests or military, he was a patron of art and literature and music also, because he patronized Amir Khusro, who was known as Tutiye-Hind because of his writing skills. The poetries Amir Khusro wrote were very beautiful. So that way he patronized many poets, authors, and noble people in his court. So he was always surrounded by good people, knowledgeable people. He took advice from everyone, but whatever he wanted to do, he finally did that. There was one poet known as Malik Muhammad Jaisi, who wrote an epic known as Padmavat. Of late, this movie Padmavat, which came, that is the love story of one-sided love story of Alauddin Khilji and Rani Padmini. She was the wife of Rana of Mewar. So that in that poem also you find that he was a very good general. He was doing a lot of work for his common people, like market regulations, the revenue reforms which he got in, the agricultural produce he was monitoring very closely. As I mentioned, he never allowed them to store the grains. So when there was ample of grains and cereals in the market, so the prices were regularized. And then he abolished the middlemen between the peasant and the market. So that way the peasants also got benefited. So this all he did, but unfortunately he could not live for a longer period of time. He passed away in 1316 AD by a prolonged illness. Some historians, they claim that his deputy Malik Kafur gave him slow poison, and he died a slow death. Why? It is evident because after Alauddin Khilji passed away, Malik Kafur made sure that any person from his family would not live. He got them murdered, all of them, and he appointed his people on the, in the court and around the entire empire. So that way he was cheated by Malik Kafur, I can say, and he trusted Malik Kafur very, very badly, because somehow Malik Kafur knew what he wants when he wants. So that way he won the trust of Alauddin Khilji. But if you if you ask me honestly, he was one of the finest kings which India had, because as I said, he was responsible for the imperial rule in India, and the market reforms, the revenue reforms, his administrative setup after him also was followed. Like Tughlaqs tried to adopt the same system. Mughals uh, adopted the same system with some changes. So he, that way you can say that he was an intelligent man, though he had never gone to school, or he has never studied, but he had this intelligence. It was a natural intelligence what Alauddin Khilji had. So, a very good army general, a very good administrator, a very good ruler, and because of his reforms, he is remembered in the pages of history.
You mentioned that there is a special reform which he has done, like taxation and market reform. We all are aware of it, and few of the points, even today also we follow whatever he managed. And you also mentioned that he was a great general because he conquered lot of territories. So I would like to ask you, what are those territories he conquered, and how he maintained this whole region with his army and with his commanding skills?
See, Kanchan, he was responsible because of him. Many dynasties, actually, like Baghelas, they completely got vanished because of him. I say that he was a good general and a good ruler, because he was able to save Delhi from the Mongol invasions for a very long period of time, till he was enthroned from 1296 to 1316 AD. The Mongols were kept at bay, okay, and his people around who were around him, they made sure that the Mongol invasions were always nullified, because the Mongols started invading the Indian territories from north from 1297 AD till 1306 AD. So he made sure that he sent his two people, Ulugh Khan and Nusrat Khan, to invade Gujarat. And after that, he made sure that no inflow of Mongols happened on those territories, because Somnath temple in Gujarat was known for its grandeur and the money which the temple owned. So at one point of time, he also attacked Somnath and got a lot of jewelry, money from the temple, and he actually desecrated the Somnath temple at one point of time, Alauddin Khilji. Before Alauddin Khilji, we find Mahmud Ghazni, who did around 17 invasions in our Indian land from 1000 to 1017 AD. And Somnath was his target also. So same thing was repeated by Alauddin Khilji. He desecrated the holy temple, holy Hindu temple of Somnath at Gujarat, and then his southern campaigns, as I told you, he conquered Devgiri, which was a very powerful, seat of South Indian rulers. And then he ordered his two governors, Ulu Khan and Nusrat Khan, to invade Ranthambore. Ranthambore was a Rajputana territory, and the king Hamir Deva, the king, his name was Hamir Deva, and Hamir Deva had granted asylum to the leaders of the mutiny which happened near Jalore. So after Nusrat Khan was killed during the siege, Alauddin Khilji personally took charge of the siege operations and conquered the Ranthambore fort in 1301 AD. You see, so he, uh, though he faced around 3 unsuccessful rebellions during this siege, but again he emerged victorious after all of them. So that way he worked tirelessly to guard his territory and empire against the Mongol invasions, and the civil rebellions which were happening, he was able to suppress them also successfully.
We know about all this contribution, and that's why he's being appreciated, and he's been considered as one of the finest emperor in Delhi Sultanate. But now I would like to ask you his religious views, especially his relation with Hindus, because I have also read somewhere that at one point of time he wanted to create a new religion for himself or his territory. So, what is your opinion on that?
See, we cannot deny this fact that at the end of the day, he was an Islamic ruler, Kanchan. So he tried to eliminate all the major Hindu people who were in different posts at the time of Jalaluddin Khilji. Okay, and the implementation of jizya on non-Islamic subject was a direct attack on the Hindus, because whoever was not in Islam had to pay that tax. So that way, he was not religiously tolerant, like other Delhi Sultanate sultans. But somehow he had few, only you can count in tips, very few Hindu people whom he trusted. Otherwise, he tried to eliminate all of them from his court. And he appointed like Malik Kafur, Ulugh Khan, Nusrat Khan, all Islamic people around him. Amir Khusro, the poet, and he was one of the minister also. So that way he was not really, religiously tolerant person, because through his, as I told you, jizya tax he has imposed on the non-Muslim subjects, and his Muslim subjects were obligated to contribute zakat. Zakat is a money which you take out from your earnings to help the needy people, and it is a practice of Islam. So that means that he tried to strengthen Islam in his empire. Okay, and he also levied some taxes like charai on grazing, like people who had cattle, so they had to pay this tax, grazing tax, charai, and even people who were residents in his empire, they had to pay ghadi, that was a residence tax. and that also was on non-Muslim subjects. So you can understand that he was not religiously tolerant.
Well, you mentioned, and it's all written in history books also. But I was just reading, and I was amused that he also didn't listen to the ulemas and the leaders, Muslim clergy also,
Never.
while he was ruling.
Now, see, that way he was very, very intelligent, because if you see the previous sultans of Delhi Sultanate, they always listened to the ulema and the noble people. Okay, but he always kept the religious people and the ulemas at bay. As I told you, he listened to everyone, but he did whatever he thought it was right. So that way, he never really favored because he took away all the land grants also from them. He abolished ICTA, he stopped the land grants, and he said, literally, you work and eat, because all those years you are nicely relaxing and enjoying life. Now it's high time that you work and you earn a living for yourself.
So, in the end, I would like to ask you what is the impact of his rule in a current scenario, and how you rate this emperor of Delhi Sultanate?
See, as if you really analyze his rule, so as I told you, his market reforms, revenue reforms, they were very, very effective. And his military reforms, the because he started the practice of chehra and dag. Dag was the practice of branding the horses, and he started a role of the soldiers who were there in his army, so that they get the salaries on time. That's why when he was so prompt, he was taking care of his people, so they were taking care of his empire. That's why the Mongol invasions were literally stopped in his time period. And as I told you, we can say that he was the only Delhi Sultanate Sultan who established an imperialistic rule in Delhi. His policies, through his policies, he established an imperialistic rule in the Delhi Sultanate. He was, and if you say that, if you ask me that, how do I rate him? Definitely, he was a very good ruler, no doubt. See, everyone has some drawbacks, like his drawback that he was little resistant to non-Islamic subjects. Otherwise, if you see, his rule is really remarkable. The Rajputs, who were so powerful at one point of time, as I told you, many people he vanished, like Vaghelas and many Rajputs. He completely vanished. You don't find a mention of even their families in the time period of Alauddin Khilji. So that way he was, and he also married the wife of Karna. Karna was a Hindu king. So he had around 3 wives. One was the daughter of Jalaluddin Khilji, Malika-e-Jahan. Then this Karnavati, the wife of Raja Karna, and one more, I think, sister of Ulugh Khan, I think. So he had a little inclination towards the woman when it came to, because Rani Padmini was in his mind for a long, very long time period, and unfortunately or fortunately, he was unable to get her because she performed Johar when he invaded the fort. So overall, if you sum up, he was a good ruler. His administration was very sound. The reforms which he carried out really helped his subjects. So that way you can say that he was one of the finest rulers of the Delhi Sultanate.
Well, lastly, I would like to ask you that when we are discussing about these Mughals or we are discussing about Delhi Sultanate, what is that point which makes them a ruler when they are against the majority of Indian people? What makes them so popular? So that is because you are charging jizya, you are eliminating the subject of the same country when you are ruling. So, but still they become so popular. What is that one point which makes them so popular and stay in the power for such a long time?
One is definitely because they were saving the people from the Mongol invasions, number one. Another was his market regulations. The prices were so regulated that common people were able to have 2 square meals. And at the end of the day, the public, what they want? They want food, they want peace, which as a ruler he was providing. That's why, see, apart from his anti-Hindu policies, still he was able to win the hearts of people through his reforms. And then, because he was guarding the frontiers so well, that he kept the Mongol invasions at bay from 1297 to 1306 AD. You see, so all these things make them popular because one thing they do which is not favorable, then they counter it with something which the general people like.
Well, it is so good to really know about this one of though he has few bad points when we talk about as a person, but still he will be remembered as a great king because he introduced a very fine taxation and land reform policies and which people even today we appreciate this. So Mitaji will be discussing more about another great king of India. Till then, bye bye and you take care.
Thank you very much.